Okay, a particle P of mass 0.6 kg is projected vertically upward with a speed 5.2 meter per second from a point O, which is 6.2 meters above ground. So let's sketch this. So 6.2 meters above ground. So this is where the particle is, and it's projected upward, and then it comes down and then goes back again. So this distance is, or the height is 6.2 meter. Air resistance acts on P so that the deceleration is 10.4 meter per second when P is moving upward. So it's negative 10.4 meter per second square because it's moving upward. And then when it goes downward, okay, it's 9.6. So from here, when it goes downward, the acceleration is 9.6 meter per second square. Okay, find the greatest height above the ground reached by P. Okay, greatest height. Okay, the greatest height that a particle can reach is until the velocity becomes zero, because if it goes up, there's a gravity that's acting, okay, pushing it to go downward. So at some point it has to decelerate, at some point it has to stop. So when it stops, the velocity is zero. So where it is zero, so A is negative 10.4 meter per second square. U is given as 5.2. okay, so 5.2 meter per second square, and we have to find what is the height that it has reached. So I can use v square equals to u square plus 2as. okay, again, so that formula. So 0 equals to 5.2 square plus 2 times by negative 10.4 and then times by s. So this will give me 20.8 s equals to 4.2 square, s equals to 5.2 square over 20.8. Therefore the distance that it has traveled is 1.3 meter. Okay, but the question asks us what is the greatest height above. So you have to take 1.3 meter plus 6.2 meter, and the answer is greatest height is 7.5 meter. Okay, next, the speed with which P reaches the ground. Okay, so we have to find what is the speed that has reached the ground. Okay, so V equals to, okay, let's do this. Oops. Okay, so what do we have? Okay, we have A that's going downward, 9.6 meter per second square. So therefore when it initially, okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this as the second part. So I'm going to look at it separately. Okay, all the green color, second part. Okay, so u here is 0 because when it reaches the maximum height, u is 0. So u equals 0. We're going to find what is s and v, and I know what is s. S is 7.5 meters. So this should be straightforward. So v square equals to u square plus 2as. This is for part 2. And v is unknown, so square root of 0 square plus 2 times by 9.6 times by 7.5. Use your calculator. And the answer is 12 meter per second. Okay. Okay, part 3, the total work done on P by the air resistance. Total work done by P by air resistance. Okay, since there's air resistance, so total work done is equal to the change in KE plus the change in PE plus the work done against the resistance. Okay, let's find this. Okay, let's find out what is initial PE. Okay, initial PE, we have the mass, which is 0.6 times by gravity 10, and the height is 6.2. The answer that I have here is 37.2 joule. Okay, and initial KE is half times by mv square, which is half times by 0.6 times by the initial velocity, which is 5.2 square. The answer that I have is 8.112. Now, if you look at it, it goes up and then it comes down. Okay, so we can find what is the final KE. Okay, final KE is half times by m times by v square, half times by 0.6, and we already got our speed, which is our velocity, final velocity, which is 12, so 12 square, and the answer that I have here is 43.2 joule. Okay, all these are in terms of joule, and since it goes to the ground, so there's no final PE. Okay, final PE is 0. Okay, now we have all the information, so let's plug that in. Okay, total work done, we are not pulling anything. Okay, so there's no total work done, so basically this is 0, so I'm going to sub this with 0. Okay, we are not lifting anything or pulling anything, so since that's not happening here, it's just a free particle just moving upward and then coming down. There's no pull or push, so that's 0, and change in KE is 43.2 joule minus 8.112 joule, and then plus we have, okay, by the way, so change in KE, remember it's final minus initial, same thing for KE and also for PE, final minus initial, it's not the other way around. Okay, final minus initial, so final PE is 0, initial is 37, so 0 minus 37 is negative 37.2 joule. Oops. And plus work done against resistance. Okay, now from here we can find out what is the work done against resistance. So we have 43.2 minus 8.112 plus negative 37.2, which is negative 2.112 plus work done against resistance. Okay, and this is 0, therefore work done against resistance equals to 2.112 joule.